it was rated NC-17 as far as the NFL is concerned when Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey. He was suspended for a game. Late last night, relatively speaking, the suspension was upheld by Jordy Nelson, former Packers receiver who's now one of the 3 hearing officers, jointly appointed and paid by the NFL and the NFL Players Association. This was not a surprise to me, even though, as I was saying yesterday, Chris, and I'm sure you were wide awake and watching early Tuesday morning, the best argument that Jamar Chase could have made was the NFL has never suspended someone for spitting. The punishment has always been a fine. And the effort in week 1 to create the impression that they suspended Jalen Carter, that should be ignored because he wasn't suspended. He was ejected and he was fined. And they called it a suspension, but it wasn't. There's never been a suspension in recent years, if ever, in the NFL for spitting on an opponent. So you're making new precedent here, and you just can't do that. And that would have been the best argument. Who knows if Chase made it. Regardless, it didn't work. Jordy Nelson banged the gavel and said no Jamar Chase this weekend against the New England Patriots.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not going to disagree with much of what the NFL has to say here. New precedents, whatever, right? I think the crime fits the punishment here, or the punishment fits the crime, as I should say there. I think that fits better, right? But, yeah, so I'm not going to want and go, oh, we've never had this before. This is crazy. Jalen Carter, in my opinion, if he had done that in the 3rd or 4th quarter with Dak Prescott, right, I think he would have been suspended the next week. It's just that the fact that it happened before any snap in the game happened, yeah, he got a little fortunate that they counted that as a full game. But, like, all in all, okay, and here's the Jalen Carter incident. Here's where Dak Prescott kind of spits right there, where he's like 5 feet away from him. Now, again, that's not the greatest look in the world, whatever, but he's having fun. You could see that. And then Jalen Carter goes a step further and literally spits on his chest. So that's disgusting. One, that's a no-no in society like we talked about on Monday. It's a big no-no in the NFL world for sure, right? And off of that, it's a horrible example for young kids or anybody growing up trying to be anything and anything. It's just not what you do at a workplace or anywhere. It's a total disrespectful act. So, no, I'm not going to sit here and, act surprised or feel bad for Jamar Chase for getting suspended for 1 game for doing that.
But I look at it differently. I look at it as a matter of basic labor law. What's the pattern in practice? That's where things, to me, need to be reliable. Right. It needs to be clear. Let me finish.
Yeah.
And when you have created the precedent, because it's not like spitting all of a sudden became unacceptable. Spitting's always been unacceptable. Sean Taylor spit in your playoff game.
Right.
In 2005. He was fined. He wasn't suspended. Not that he could have been suspended the next week because Washington won that game. Sorry to remind you of that, but that's what happened.
Right.
Those are some of the incidents over the years. They were fines. That's it. Fine. And the Jalen Carter thing, the way they phrased it, they made it sound like a suspension, even though it wasn't. And they fined him $57,000, which was the amount of the game check that he earned week 1 for the game he didn't play in because, as you pointed out, he was ejected before the first play from scrimmage, right after the opening kickoff. So now all of a sudden it becomes a suspension. That is the NFL doing a 180. That is the NFL ignoring past precedent. But, Chris, this is something I said yesterday, and I want to make sure that everybody understands this point because I think it's important. They try to create the impression that the hearing officers are independent. They're not. I looked at the CBA yesterday afternoon. Every year, both the league and the union have to decide to hire hearing officers. If the NFL doesn't want Jordy Nelson next year, all the NFL has to say is, we're good. We're going to find somebody else.
Right.
So that's not true independence. Independence means there are no repercussions and no consequences for any decision I make. I am truly independent. I can consider these facts. I can make a decision, and no one can do anything about it. So there's a political calculation to make if you're Jordy Nelson. The NFL seems to be really pissed about this, and the union currently seems to be in a state of disarray. What is the smarter decision for me to make here? Who am I less likely to piss off based upon the outcome? They're both going to be upset, but on one hand, you have the NFL, which clearly wants this. And on the other hand, you have the union. We don't know what the hell they want. And this was something that Devin McCourty pointed out, and we kind of went down the rabbit hole yesterday. In a union setting, when you have one member engaging in misconduct against another member, you got a weird little baked-in conflict of interest,
right?
Where you gotta protect the rights of the guy who is being punished, and you gotta protect the rights of the guy who had the thing happen to him that sparked the punishment. So that didn't surprise me that Jordy Nelson went that way, because from his perspective, if he likes this gig of hearing officer, he's more likely to keep it if he sides with the NFL on this one. And I know that sounds horribly cynical. That's the way the world works, folks.
I get
That's
you.
the way the world works.
I
Welcome
hear you.
to reality.
I hear you all the way there. And you know, this is one, though, that, I mean, again, I don't know if you're trying to say no here or what, but like, screw the precedents. The precedents before was wrong. We've evolved as a person in a league and a society.
Welcome to reality.
Okay, so like, so I don't give a damn what happened like 15 years ago. Those people should have been suspended too. The NFL was stupid for not doing that. They didn't have the cameras and all the angles all the time to totally justify it and see if it actually hit the guy, right? And now, yeah, it's a different world where
still fined them for it.
Well, he fined them for it, but they should have been. I would have no problem back then if they suspended. Because what's happened too, it happens a lot. Like we talked about, it's a no matter what. Right? And the football field's supposed to be a place where you can go kind of above society rules and do some stuff that you're not allowed to do. But that's one even on the football field, no. And then what it does, too, if you let that go down and you don't catch it or it's not on a camera, the next time that receiver goes over the middle, he's going to wonder why he's concussed and out of football for 3 weeks, because someone's going to try to knock his head off. Or what I witnessed in my career was with Dwight Smith, right, the DB who had the 2 interceptions in the Super Bowl, right? Somebody spit on him during the end of a football game, right? And He wanted to fight the person, and after the game was over and he got dressed, he was making his way to the other team's bus because he wanted to fight him. And he was bringing people there, and he wanted a full-out brawl. So that's the other aspect of it, too, that I think the NFL just – I have no problem with this new precedence, right? That's all I'm saying there. And on top of that, Mike, and I know we talked about this on Monday, right? Like, this is one, too, to echo Mike Tomlin's sentiments there. I wish the NFL would see the cameras and the angles and go, you know what? After further review, Jalen Ramsey isn't kicked out of the game. This happened and whatever, and maybe you deal with that after the football game. But like, that crosses a line there where, you know, if a right hook is thrown in that kind of moment, I don't think you should throw Jalen Ramsey out of the football game. I have more problem with that right now than the precedents being messed up by, you know, Jamar Chase and this whole thing.
I think the way it happened, it was just too much to process and understand in that moment that there was spitting that occurred. Now, Jalen Ramsey, I went back and watched that part of the game. You could see he was pleading with the sideline after he was ejected. He spit on me.
Yeah,
you could, just the body language and his lip motions, he spit on me. That's what he was saying. I just think that's too much. If they don't see it on the field in real time, you can't go Zapruder film the various cameras and say, gee, I wonder why he hit him like that. Maybe he spit on him, because there was already some stuff happening between those two guys. It's not like it just popped up out of the blue. And I agree with you. The punishment should have always been spitting. The punishment for spitting should have always been a suspension, not spit back on the guy. Spit back on the guy, that's the punishment. You spit on me, I spit on you, that's the punishment. But I just don't like, as a general idea, the rug being pulled out from under the settled principle. I just don't like that, because if they do it there, they're going to do it somewhere else. And then they're going to do it somewhere else. They need to make it more clear. If they're going to crack down on sportsmanship, why not just say, hey, all NFL players need to know, here are the examples of the things that will get you suspended by the league. You spit on somebody, you're going to get suspended. It's all about putting the workplace on notice. There's a fairness to it.
I hear you there. Okay.
Where when it happens and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I never heard. Now, here's the reality. 22, 23, 24, 25-year-old players, they're not up on the nuances of what the NFL's precedents are when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, you know.
But they are
I don't
up
know
on
how
the
much of
precedents
that even applies.
on the law of the streets and the law of like manhood, and that's where you know, right? But I hear what you're saying, and I would hope that next year when the players are in training camp and they have that video that they show them what's against the rules, what's allowed. I hope that gets put on there, just like the guy lowering his helmet to lower the crown and hit somebody in the head, where they go, don't do that. The next segment should be, hey, listen, you spit on somebody, just be ready. You're gonna get your butt suspended. But I hear you there. There is a defense in that, and you would like to make that more apparent to the players. But I think players should know. I'm going to say that much. Right. Yeah.
It is now.
Right.
It is now. We had the graphic with all the different fines from the past spitting incidents, and Jalen Carter ultimately was fined $57,000 via the loss of the game check. The total price tag for Jamar Chase, when you consider both his game salary of $448,000 plus and his per game roster bonus of $58,000, you add it all up, $507,156, making it the most expensive loogie in NFL, if not pro sports history.
Man, I mean, that's one. Jamar.
156.
Next time you got a little frustration, just call me up. You can spit on me, and I'll take that money, and I'll take half of it, and I'll go buy a Rolls Royce or something. Just let me know. I'll fly to damn Cincinnati. You can spit on my chest, and I'll go, all right, I won't fine you the league, your game check. Give me half of it. I'm serious, but I'm not serious. Or I'm not serious, but I'm serious.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.